This Good Morning Northwest morning sprint is brought to you by Bill's Heating and Air Conditioning.
It is 6:53, time to get you ready to take on your Tuesday in the morning sprint.
The Supreme Court is being asked to weigh in on immunity regarding the investigation into Donald Trump. Sydney Charles has those details.
But we have some low clouds and fog in the forecast. Let's get to Mark with what else you can expect.
We're going to see that low cloud deck continue to really just keep things not sunny. It's going to be low clouds. We see that here all the way through Spokane. We've got thick fog that is just east of the Tri-Cities if you're going to be rolling through that area. Again, today we're going to be above average. We're going to be in the upper 30s. Our day today, yeah, the low clouds, maybe some sun breaks, but not expecting much here. Air quality will remain good, and we're going to have a high today of 37 degrees. It'll cool off faster tonight than it did last night.
The special counsel investigating former President Donald Trump's role in the January 6th attack is now asking the Supreme Court to decide whether or not Trump has immunity. Special counsel Jack Smith is asking the Supreme Court to quickly rule on former President Trump's claim that he has immunity from prosecution of anything he did while in office, specifically his role in the January 6th attack on the Capitol. A lower court already rejected Trump's claim of absolute immunity, but Trump appealed. In response, Smith is now turning to the Supreme Court, completely bypassing the appeals court.
The House has passed a bill aimed at improving health care transparency and affordability. The Lower Cost, More Transparency Act passed easily with a final vote of 320 to 71. Now, if signed into law, it would act like more of an enforcer to Trump administration transparency rules. It's supposed to drive down medical care costs for Americans at a time when inflation has such a stronghold on the economy. Now, Washington State Representative Cathy McMorris Rodgers helped champion this act. The bill still needs to make it through the Senate before heading to President Biden's desk.
The United States Supreme Court says a Washington law banning conversion therapy on children stands. In a 6-3 vote, the court declined to take up the challenge to the law. The conversion therapy is aimed at changing a person's sexual orientation or gender identity. Under the law, a licensed therapist can discuss conversion therapy with minors or recommend it to be performed by others, like a religious counselor, but a licensed therapist cannot perform it.
The Department of Justice claims a Spokane property management company stole hundreds of thousands of dollars from a federal COVID relief program. Now, according to the DOJ, All Star Management, owned by Give Parker, fraudulently received funds from the Emergency Rent Assistance Program. That's a program meant to help tenants struggling to pay rent. The company received the money by saying more than 30 tenants were behind on rent, when in reality, all of them made their payments on time. This is still a developing story. We'll keep you updated as soon as we learn more.
One of the men who was involved in a robbery that led to a shootout with police last summer will be sentenced today. Christopher Gooch was charged with robbery. According to court documents, Gooch was one of 3 men involved in the robbery. Gooch and one of the other men were later arrested in downtown Spokane. The third man was shot and killed by police during a standoff with law enforcement that lasted hours.
In North Idaho news, an update to a story we first brought you yesterday out of Coeur d'Alene. The school board has voted to change its dress code policy. The new policy was created at the direction of students who said the old policy was difficult to enforce and had unproductive disciplinary actions. This new rule states students must wear tops that fully cover them and changes some of that language of the dress code that some said was directed towards girls. It also makes changes on how the dress code is enforced, including no longer removing students from the classroom for violating the dress code.
Dog owners who have been longtime users of Spokane's Highbridge Dog Park say it's recently become an eyesore. Take a look. The cost of this garbage at the park is why Spokanimal says it can no longer afford to operate it. With the amount of garbage people have left behind, Spokanimal staff went from cleaning the park 2 to 3 times a week to 5 to 6 times a week. And in November, Spokanimal let the city know it would no longer be able to operate the dog park. Now it's in the city's hands. The Parks Department says it will conduct a full renovation of the park over the next couple of years. But in the meantime, it will continue to work with code enforcement to help with cleanup from homeless camps.
Spokane's largest all-winter art market, Bazaar, returns this Saturday. 3 floors of River Park Square will be packed with more than 70 local vendors, as well as live music, family-friendly activities, and of course, that holiday cheer. The perfect place to find some gifts this winter. Bazaar will be open from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. and we'll be live at River Park Square on Thursday to show you much more of what Bazaar has to offer. And we'll be live with another check of the weather right after this break.